Hello, Disney fans. Hi, Marty. Want to join me? Come up here. No? Okay, you come on. Not going? Okay. My little dog, Marty, he's a Pomeranian. He'll be joining me, maybe, in a lot of these videos. Depends if he wants to come on camera or not. But I'd like to thank all of you for joining me again today as I continue to review Once Upon a Time. Last time I reviewed Season 1, and the sad fact is I had to leave a lot of it out simply because you can't include everything in even one season of a series that's that in-depth in one reasonably length review. So today I'm going to go back. I said I'd be doing a one-off special on a specific episode, and I'm going to revisit episode 12, Skin Deep. That's my favorite episode, not only in the series, not only in the season, I should say, but in the entire series. If you know me, or if you've seen my other reviews, you know that my favorite Disney movie is Beauty and the Beast, as you may guess anyway from my backdrop. This is Once Upon a Time's take on Beauty and the Beast, and they do a job that most definitely lives up to the movie. It tells an incredible love story, the best love story in the entire series, in my opinion. And if you have a different opinion, feel free to express it in the comments, and I'll be happy to talk about what makes a great romance with you, and we can have a friendly debate if you like. But in my opinion, this is the greatest romance in Once Upon a Time. Their love between this series version of Belle and the Beast is incredibly real. They have their own sets of problems. And that's one of the reasons that I loved the original Beauty and the Beast is they don't fall in love right away. They take their time. They get to know each other. They become friends before they fall in love. And you can clearly see that happening in this episode, which is incredible to think of when you realize this is only 42 minutes when the movie is movie length. Well, the story starts out mostly the same as Beauty and the Beast. It's with Belle making a choice to save the people she loves and making a deal with the Beast. So, three guesses who plays the role of the Beast in this series. As I've said in Season 1 review, Rumple is in simply every aspect of this story, and you really get an insight into his character in this episode. It starts when there is more trouble with the ogres bothering Belle's kingdom of Avonlea. They've written to Rumple asking for help, and he definitely shows up in his own way.
It's him. It has to be him.
How can we get past the walls? Open it.
Oh, that was a bit of a letdown. You sent me a message. Something about, help! Help! We're dying! Can you save us? Well, the answer is... yes, I can. Yes, I can protect your little town. For a price.
As Rumple always says, all magic comes with a price. Only he's not interested in gold.
We sent you a promise of gold.
Ah, you see, I, make gold. What I want is something a bit more special. My price is her.
If you've seen the original movie, or if you've read the fairy tale, you know what Belle's going to do. And you also know her father is going to protest.
Belle, you cannot do this. Belle, please. You can't go with this beast.
How can you not love Rumple's expression in that moment? Again, Robert Carlyle is an amazing actor, and if I started talking about how great he is acting the part of Rumpelstiltskin, we'd be here till Doomsday. So, of course, Belle goes with Rumple, and it isn't too long before she starts learning her daily routine.
You will serve me my meals, and you will clean the dark castle.
I understand.
You will dust my collection and launder my clothing.
Yes.
You will fetch me fresh straw when I'm spinning at the wheel.
Got it.
Oh, and you will skin the children I hunt for the pelt. That one was a quip. Not serious.
This gives us Once Upon a Time's version of Chip the Chip Cup. Comes to be a pretty important icon throughout the series, and it's a nice nod to one of the characters in the original Disney movie. Speaking of characters, should probably talk about what the others are doing in Storybrooke. In case you're wondering about Snow White and Prince Charming, since the main focus of this first season, or the series in general, is supposed to be on them at first, they're having a little trouble in their love lives. It's a good topic for a Valentine's Day episode, and this episode aired February 12th, 2 days before Valentine's Day. Of course, neither one of them remembers who the other is. Prince Charming, known as David, has been in a coma for a while, 28 years since the curse was cast, and he was woken up by Snow White reading to him. You would think that would be awesome, they get to start a new love life. Not exactly. In the cursed world that Regina's created, he's already married. And so he has to be seeing Snow White, aka Mary Margaret Blanchard in Storybrooke, behind his wife's back, and it is not going well for them. So there's a side story within this episode about how they're dealing with it. Basic answer is not too well. But back to the other characters in Storybrooke. We see Rumpel dealing with this world's version of Belle's father, and they aren't exactly on very good terms.
I've been looking for you, Mr. French.
I'll have your money next week.
Terms of the loan were fairly specific. Take the van.
Wait. No. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day. It's the biggest day of... I've got $1,000 in roses in the bank. Stop! You've got to let me sell them.
I'm going to allow you two to continue this conversation.
Oh, this is no way to do business, Cole. You are the lowest. People aren't going to put up with this.
As Rumpel says, Maurice, also known as Mo French in this world, is having a bit of an off day. You'll get later why I don't care for Mo very much in this version. But his interaction with him gets Regina thinking that maybe Mr. Gold remembers a little bit more about being Rumpelstiltskin than she thought he did until now. There have been hints that unlike everybody else in Storybrooke, he does remember the Enchanted Forest and he does know who he really is. Well, she needs to know. And there's one sure way to do that, and that is to mess with his possessions. You don't want to do that, especially that chipped cup. It gets stolen, and Rumpel is not going to rest until he gets that cup back.
Things tend to happen to bad people.
Is that a threat?
Observation.
I wouldn't want to be Mo right now. You'll get to understand a little bit more about how much Rumpel dislikes him and exactly why once we're at the end of this review and you understand the entire episode. Now, back in the fairy tale world, in the flashback, Rumpel and Belle start to open up to each other a little more, and they start to get to be a little closer. And we get to see them even joke together a little bit.
Why do you spin so much? Sorry, it's just... I've spun straw into more gold than you could ever spend.
I like to watch the wind. Helps me forget.
Forget what?
I guess it worked.
I absolutely love that the two of them are able to joke together. To me, that's one of the best signs of a positive relationship is healthy humor between a couple. Whether it's friends, romantic, whatever, it's wonderful to be able to laugh and to share that. And it's one of the signs that Rumpel's walls are finally starting to come down. I shared a bit in Season 1 about how his marriage went, and in Season 2 I'll talk about someone else who broke his heart. Let's say for now that Rumpel does not have a good history with romance. and it's more than understandable after what he's been through that his walls are gonna be up. Like I said, this is one of the first times we see those walls start to come down, and I'd like to point out something else that's a neat little detail. Kudos to the costume department. When you see Rumple in the beginning, he's wearing his typical leather outfit, his armor, if you will, and there's talk later in the series about articles of clothing being almost a form of armor, whether they're going to actually provide any physical protection or not. Now, if you watch him and Belle together, he isn't dressed that way anymore. He's wearing a vest with regular light sleeves. He's dressed more like you would expect anyone else of that world to dress. He's not in defense mode so much anymore. In fact, he's starting to look out to protect Belle.
What are you doing?
Opening these. It's almost spring. We should let some light in. What did you do? Nail them down?
Yeah.
This is such a great, both literal and figurative, highlight. We see the light come into the dark castle, and we see things start to become brighter in their relationship. Rumple's starting to realize that he does care about Belle. You can see in his expression the fear that she could have been hurt, and I think his expression shows a bit that this is the moment it dawns on him that he actually did this. He went out of his way to catch her, to take care of her. It's just a small thing. I mean, it's almost on instinct to catch someone who's falling, but it shows that he does care. He does still have a heart. She's more to him than a servant. And she realizes this too. You see it in her face. She's, wow, he caught me. It's a major turning point for them. But in Storybrooke, things aren't looking as happy for Rumple.
You've recovered nothing. There's something missing.
I'll get it when I find it.
Not if I find him first.
Back in the fairy tale past, Belle and Rumple are becoming a lot more comfortable with each other. She's found some clothing while she was cleaning, and she asked him whether it was his or if it belonged to his son. This gets him to open up enough to admit that he had a son, and she starts to feel for him because he tells her that he lost him, and you can tell at this point she actually cares for him and she feels sorry for that loss. And she asks him if she's never going to know somebody else, can't she at least know him?
Perhaps. Perhaps you just want to learn the monster's weaknesses. Yeah? Yeah?
You're not a monster. You think you're uglier than you are. That's why you cover all the mirrors up, isn't it? Hmm?
I can never watch what happens next without going into hysterics laughing. If you've seen the original Beauty and the Beast, and if you're a Disney fan and therefore interested in my channel, I'm assuming you have, you know that Gaston is a very threatening, very menacing character who comes very close to actually killing the Beast. So when I saw this scene about to play out, I completely forgot the first time I saw it just how powerful Rumple is. All I could think of was the Beast character is going to get hurt. Oh no, I can't watch. No, this goes a little differently.
I am Sir Gaston, and you beast of kicking.
Who is that?
Just an old woman selling flowers? Yeah. If you'll have it.
Why, thank you.
I love the graceful bow Rumple does when he gives Belle the rose, this moment between them. But wait, the comedy gets even better.
I always wanted to be brave. I figured, do the brave thing, and bravery would follow.
It might be a little sadistic of me to enjoy this that much, but She just cut off part of Gaston. And as a fan of the original Beauty and the Beast, I can't help loving that. Sorry if that makes me a little too dark, but I love it. Ah! Yes, Marty, do you love it too? Calm down, bud. So, Belle asks again for Rumple to tell her a little more about his past, about his son, and he makes a deal with her. He tells her that if she goes into the village to get him some straw, when she comes back, he'll tell her the story. He admits that he doesn't believe she's coming back. He lets her go. This is even better than the way the Beast let Belle go in the original. He knew that she had to go to her father. He knew there was no real choice, that Maurice was in danger, and if Belle didn't go to him, he would likely die, and Belle would never forgive him for that. But he is selfless enough to give up his chance to break the curse to send Belle away. Rumple isn't interested in breaking his curse, but he lets Belle go out of pure kindness to her. Now, Belle might or might not have come back. She's sort of debating it. Personally, I think she would have, because given what we've seen, they were getting pretty close. The trouble is, she runs into somebody on the road, and that somebody gives her a bit of information.
And a kiss. A kiss is enough. He'd be a man again. An ordinary man. True love's kiss will break any curse.
So, Belle goes back to Rumple, as I think we all knew she would. And I love his reaction watching her come back.
You're back already. Good. Good thing. I'm nearly out of straw.
One of the reasons that I love his reaction so much is he forgot that he could teleport to the to the spinning room before she got back. He's that much in love with her that for a moment he forgot he could use his magic. And that takes quite a bit of love, I think. You can tell he's obviously happy that she came back.
Come on. You're happy that I'm back.
I'm not unhappy.
And, you promised me a story.
Did I?
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your son.
I lost him. There's nothing more to tell, really.
And since then, you've loved no one, and no one has loved you.
Why did you come back?
I wasn't going to. Then, something changed my mind.
I love this kiss. It is such a beautiful kiss, but that is the start of everything going south for them. And yeah, things get kind of ugly after that.
Kiss me again. It's working.
What?
Any curse can be broken.
Who told you that? Who knows that?
I don't know, she.
She.
You evil soul.
This was you. You turned her against me. You think you can make me weak? You think you can defeat me?
Who are you talking to?
The Queen! Your friend, the Queen!
How
did she get to you?
The Queen?
I knew this was a trick. I knew you could never care for me. Oh, yeah. You're working for her. Or is this all you? Is this you being the hero and killing the beast?
Miss Wood.
Shut up!
This means it's true.
Shut the hell up!
Why won't you believe me?
Because no one can ever love me!
How tragic is that he believes nobody could ever love him. He's learned his whole life from every person he's ever met, with the exception of 2 people that I'll talk about in season 3. He's learned from every other person besides them that he's not worthy of love, that he's nothing, that he can't be loved. And now the one person that he thought he could trust, he thinks that she sold him out to Regina. His reaction is intense, as you'd expect, and frightening, and it was so overwhelming for Robert Carlyle acting this that he stopped take doing it, and he checked that Emily DeRaven, who plays Belle, was okay. She's like, "Oh, I didn't hurt you, did I? I'm so sorry I got way into character." And she's like, "What are you doing? Get back in character. This is gotta be a great scene. Come on, let's finish this. You're doing great." So he himself, as an actor, got really caught up in the emotion that Rumpel was feeling and the pain of it. Well, speaking of pain, let's see how Rumpel is doing with the thief that stole his cup, Mo French, Belle's father. I don't think things are going to be going too good for Mo.
No! Tell me what it is! No! It wasn't my fault! My fault? What are you talking about, my fault? You shut her out. You had her love. And you shut her past! She's gone. She's gone forever. She's not coming back. And it's your house, not mine! You are her father!
I hate to show a scene that portrays Rumpel in a bit less than a sympathetic light, but this isn't just about the cup. You heard him mention how Mo is Belle's father, how this is his fault. You might be wondering what exactly Rumpel is referring to. Back in the Enchanted Forest, after their fight, Rumpel let Belle go. He told her he didn't want to see her anymore, to leave. And after that, he got some very bad news.
You don't know? Well, after she got home, her fiancé had gone missing. And after her stay here, her association with you. No one would want her, of course. Her father shunned her, cut her off, shut her out.
So she needs a home.
He was cruel to her. He locked her in a tower and sent in clerics to cleanse her soul with scourges and flame. After a while, she threw herself off the tower. She died.
You're lying.
Am I?
Being the slightly obsessive person that I am, I have actually read the script for this episode, and I have listened to the audio commentary. And it confirms that Rumpel believes this because everything in his life has gone wrong. So, of course the woman he loves is dead. Why wouldn't she be? And after Regina leaves is when we get the really heartbreaking reaction from him. Back in Storybrooke, things aren't going all that much better for him as Mr. Gold. He has been arrested for beating Mo French. Emma took him away to jail. So he's there, and Regina shows up and tells Emma that she can take Henry out for some ice cream. At this point, Regina has basically forbidden Emma any contact with Henry, so Emma isn't going to waste this chance. She takes Henry for ice cream, and Regina is left alone with Rumple, and she wants to know how much he remembers. And this was her way to find out this information, as we're going to see.
To answer one question. And answer it simply. What's your name?
Miss Mr. Gold.
Your real name.
Every moment I've spent on this earth, that's been my name.
But what about moments spent elsewhere?
What are you asking me?
I think you know. If you want me to return what's yours, tell me your name.
Rumpelstiltskin.
Since Regina saw Rumple fighting with Mo earlier, she knew that Mo would want to get back at him. Stealing the cup was the perfect way to do that, and in getting it back, it would prove that he had all his memories, because only Rumple would want that cup back so bad. Only Rumple is the true Rumple and not Mr. Gold. So now they each know who each other is, and Rumple has a little bit of a warning for her.
Now that we're being honest with each other, let's remember how things used to be, shall we? And don't let these bars fill you, dear. I'm the one with the power around here.
Fun little piece of once trivia for you. Rumple loves to call everyone Dearie, and that is our nickname as his fans. We are the Dearies. And that's a nickname given to us by Robert Carlyle himself, which I think is pretty cool. So, there's a lot of information that's been revealed in this episode. We know that Rumple really does remember, in spite of coming over with the curse. And it's been confirmed by the writers of the show that he got his memories back the moment he heard Emma say her name for the first time. That was why learning her name was the price that he wanted for the information he gave Snow White and Prince Charming in the first episode. If you're wondering what's going on with Belle, is she really dead? Well, this is Disney, although it's a lot darker than Disney is. But it doesn't quite go that dark. Belle is alive, but not happily so. Even though this is it for that episode, I'm going to continue a bit to let you know how it turns out for them, since this is technically a continuation of my Season 1 review. Rumple does business with, well, he's done business in the past with the Mad Hatter, Jefferson. Jefferson's hat is magic, and it can create a portal that will take you to any world with magic. Unfortunately for Rumple, he couldn't use that to get to Bay because our world doesn't have magic. But Jefferson frequently took him where he needed to go to other realms, and Jefferson often went and got other things for him. So Jefferson knows about Belle, and he knows their connection. Jefferson's the only person in Storybrooke besides Rumple and Regina who actually remembers the fairy tale past. He finds out where Belle is, and lets her out, and tells her to go find Mr. Gold. At this point, Belle doesn't remember anything. She doesn't know who Rumple is, or even who she is. She had it a bit worse off than most people, because they at least had false memories. She had nothing. So, Jefferson releases her and tells her to go find Mr. Gold. She might not recognize him, but he sure recognizes her.
Excuse me, are you Mr. Gold?
Yes, I am, but I'm afraid the shop's closed.
I was told to find you and tell you that Regina looked for you. Is that happened to you?
You're real. You're alive. She did this to you.
I was told you'd protect me.
Yes, I'll protect you.
I'm sorry. Do I know you?
But you will.
I defy anyone watching Rumple's reaction to finding out Bella's really alive to say that he's evil. You can tell how much he loves her. She is everything to him. Well, her and Bay both are, but you can tell how much he's in love with her. You can tell that he's definitely not the monster everyone says he is. No one capable of that much love could ever be a monster. Belle does, of course, regain her memories when they go to the well. You saw him pouring the vial of true love into it at the end of the season 1 review to bring magic back. She regained her memories shortly before that when Emma kissed Henry and the curse was broken. So, as of the end of season 1, they are happily together. You'll hear more about what happens with them in season 2 and seasons 3 through 7 as well. Although I wish I could pretend season 7 doesn't exist, but that's for another review. Thank you so much for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to comment with your thoughts on the episode, thoughts on Rumple and Belle and romance and Beauty and the Beast, and I look forward to seeing your comments. Until next time, remember the magic.